You know, in the Bible it says, God created everything and behold, it was very good. In terms of how the universe sees things, there's only this moment, there is only now. In fact, there has never ever been an experiment that proves the existence of time. It's how we explain change. That's it. That's all it is. So if you can just allow yourself to be present, I don't care what's going on in the world, just be in this moment. Try it out for just a second. Feel what it feels like to just be here now. The only thing in this moment is love. And anything else that you're experiencing, you brought in here. You brought it in. So if you want to start feeling peace and you want to start having a life that is not going like this and it's not, for one thing, stop watching the news. Just quit it. Stop it. Stop it. You don't need it. Trust me. Believe me, if everybody watching the news made the world a better place, it would have improved greatly by now, correct? But instead, what's happening is people get more fearful and more worried. Oh my gosh. Well, now let's go back to God created everything and behold, it was very good. And there's only this moment. Then everything going on is perfect. And you may not see the perfection in it. Just like when you're in pain, you don't see the perfection of it. You're like very in resistance to it. But when you finally have that opening and that clarity, you're like, I am so glad I was in all that pain because I wouldn't have seen it. And when I do counseling work with people, you know, I had this one girl go, I will not forgive. I will not forgive. My father did this and this and this and I won't forgive him. And I said, that's great. Because you know what? The Course in Miracles says this. You either learn through love or fear. If you learn through love, your lessons will be joyful. If you learn through fear, your lessons will be painful. Either way, you're going to learn. The universe doesn't care. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to step in and go, you know what? You got to stop coloring with that black crayon. Look, there's hundreds of colors here you can color with. No, I'm coloring with my black crayon. Okay, you can have that. Go ahead, have your pain. You know? And so this woman, she kind of started to think about that. And I said, the problem for you is you haven't had enough pain yet. You'll be back when you have. You are going to consider this when you've had enough pain. I decided that I had had enough pain. And I thought, you know what? I'm ready to create with love. I'm ready to live my life with joy. Anybody else feeling like that? Anybody ready for joy? Okay, it's really simple. I'm telling you, when you actually try this out and you just apply these really simple principles, you can't fail. I mean, God has set you up to win. I promise you that. You cannot fail because it's simple stuff. And, you know, sometimes people, maybe they come to church, they think, oh yeah, I know this. Oh, I know that. I've been doing this for years. But the question is, are you ready to stop being a seeker and become a finder? Because if you want to find and stop seeking, you must live it. And one of the people who taught this to me really powerfully was I was on this healing roll, you know, and women, we particularly know this. Anybody who's here to be a healer, we start off doing what? Trying to fix somebody. Oh, I know how to fix that. Let me just show you. Here's Deepak Chopra. Here's Conversations with God. You read this, you'll be all better. You know what I mean? And I was dating a man who I actually met at Unity. So I'm thinking, oh, he's really going to want to know this. And let me just tell you, and let me pull up my sleeves and tell you how great it's going to be when you get it right. And he said to me, please don't talk about this. Please don't quote anybody. Nah. And it was like a shock to my system. It was like I've always quoted people. I mean, I thought I was doing this guy a big favor, you know, when people pay me to sit here and pull out these books and quote things, you know. So I had to start living it. And it was like, wow. So here's what I started doing. I just came from this place of defenselessness. How many of you defend yourselves in an argument? Come on. Yeah, I know you're out there. Okay. So, you know, now that is the do you want to be right or happy kind of thing, right? So, now you hear of Gandhi doing defenselessness. He'd sit there on the curb and get beaten. And that's what I thought defenseless was. You know, I didn't quite get it in my own life. And so, I would do this. And I promise you, if you try this out next time that you feel something coming on that you want to argue about, see if you can remember this. I just sat there, and this person would have a whole lot of things to say to me, and I would just sit there, and I would say nothing. and I wasn't angry, I would just start talking to God in my mind, and I would just say, I ask love to be present in this moment. How many people do that in an argument? Nobody. And you know why? If you did, the argument would never happen. It just won't happen because it has no place to exist. And every single time that I would do that, I would say, I invite love into this moment. Things would change almost instantaneously. And I have to tell you about a story of a woman that was very interesting because this even works when a person is completely not being rational. Okay? There was a woman that I had actually given her several thousand, like $3,000 to go take a class. I didn't really know her. I'd inherited money from my mom. I was feeling really like, hey, why don't you go? So I went to visit her, and we were going to this class together. It was one, weekend a month for 9 months. And I went to visit her. I was staying with her, and normally I would drive up to the class in Estes Park and come back and drop her off. But this time I thought I would try to go through a different way back to Utah. And I just said to her, I said, would you mind finding a different ride home? Because I'm going to try to go through the mountains. And she said, okay. And about 2 hours later, she came up to me, and her face was red. And she was so angry with me. And by the way, there was a guy who lived across the street who was taking the same class. It wasn't like there weren't people in Fort Collins that could take her. She was just blazing red. And she said, I can't believe how selfish you are. I can't believe that you would just, make me try to find another way home. And she was just like, I'm like, do I know this person? Is this someone I've ever, I've never seen her like this. So I did the logical thing initially. I tried to explain myself. And no, that didn't work. And then I said, well, it's not a big deal. I'll bring you home. Nope, that's not. It was like this no-win. And she said, and by the way, I've read the Course in Miracles, and none of that's going to work. So I said, dear God, please show me. I'm listening. I ask love to be present. What do you want from me? And the answer was really simple. It said, apologize. Now, how many people would think to apologize in this very moment? You know what I mean? I was just like, and I said, Nancy, I am so sorry that I've done something to cause you pain because I really love you and I really support you. And I'm really sorry this happened. And right then, she just bursts out crying, and she goes, oh, it's not you, it's my ex-husband, and he's taking me to court over my son, and I'm really sorry. Anyway, it was kind of over. Well, when I came back a month later, and she was fine after that, I came back a month later, and she said, I really want to tell you that you saved my life. She said, I realized I was having this really irrational response to you. And she nearly had a nervous breakdown. She was just right there, and it turned out that she had been on medication, but she was taking like thyroid medicine thinking it was her medication. And she took herself into the doctor. He tested her, and he's like, you're in serious trouble here. And the point I'd like to make is that she was literally right on that edge of being crazy. And so it's not like you just have to talk to people who are rational. If you are willing to move into that place of love in your heart and call it in, it always works. And any time you are not having that experience, you did not call love in. You did not make love welcome. My husband and I, back when 9/11 was taking place, we watched it for a few minutes on television, got the drift of what was happening, turned off the TV. I was laid down to meditate. I'm sort of a wimpy meditator, but and we did this toning, which I'm going to teach you at the end of this how to do. And we just held the intention of peace. Now think about it. When we get embroiled and stuff, sure, go ahead, know what's going on, but do you want to contribute to it in a positive way, or do you want to play into the negative part? And I can't say what that did great things for me. World peace, we're all thinking world peace. Where do you think it starts? Don't you think it starts right here? Don't you think it starts in how you're living your life, and then it spreads out into your family and your community? I have a really, really simple thing that I do. If there's something I can do about it, I do it. If there's nothing I can do, I tell myself, this is none of my business. I'm willing to be at peace.